The Law and You. A look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You. Presented by lawyer P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings in peace and love. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. This is program number 658, and it is coming to you on Monday, the 28th of November, 2011. On this program, I will speak to you on the topic, lawyer letters. But before getting into that topic, a couple preliminary remarks. Firstly, cricket. Well, the West Indies women's team has been doing spectacularly well in the tournament in which they are now engaged. They have won all of their preliminary matches and they have won them very handsomely. Congratulations to the ladies. And as I was listening to the Let's Talk Sports program on Saturday night on NBC Radio 705, a caller called in and said, look, let's forget about the men. Let's talk about the West Indies women cricketers. And I agree with the gentleman. The men are indifferent. I mean, nearly 600 runs one innings and you're struggling to make 150 in the second innings. They were lucky to escape with a tie. And why do they keep saying it was a draw? It was a tie. When the scores are level, the test is tied. So congratulations to the women of the West Indies, and they are holding the banner high. May they long continue to do that, and may they go on to greater triumphs in the competition. Now I want to congratulate the new executive of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bar Association, led by Dr. Linton Lewis. Since this executive has been voted into office, they have really been doing a remarkable job of reviving the Bar Association. And I want to say that how pleased I am at the initiatives which they have taken. Now on Friday evening last week, they had the Christmas ball, a bit early, but that was placed at that date so that we could have the pleasure of the company of some of the Court of Appeal judges who sat last week. And so it was that 3 of the judges attended the Christmas dinner come ball, come entertainment. It was held at the Mariners, the former Mariners Inn. I still call it the Mariners Inn. And it was a lovely occasion. Well, let me give it its proper name. Yes, I know, the French Veranda. Okay. It was well attended. In fact, the best attendance I've seen for many, many years. And it clearly was the most enjoyable. There's lots of entertainment. We had live singing by Linton Lewis himself. He was a former vocalist, you will recall, with Resurrection. Made a record too. And then we had the duet by Ms. Rena Batiste and Linton Lewis, which was delightful. Proceedings were very ably emceed by none other than our OECS champion stand-up comedian, Mr. Maurice Horn, who kept us titillating with a litany of jokes. And there was the honoring of Mr. Bayless Frederick, because the Bar Association executive has taken the view that you shouldn't wait until people pass on to honor them. So we had an honorary ceremony for Mr. Bayless Frederick, who really declined the accolades. And in his usual modesty said, why should you honor him for just being Bayless? I thought that was very touching. And then I understand that the dancing went on to the wee hours. I didn't stay for the dancing. I don't do much of that these days, you know, old age and so on, catching up with me. So I left with my daughter fairly early, right after the formalities were finished. Lovely dinner. So let me congratulate the executive team, and let me not forget the dancing by Mrs. K. Bacchus Brown, Miss Patina Knights, and Miss Samantha Robertson, and their guest artist. And Andy Cruikshank is a revelation. This young man sits there at the keyboard and he sings ballad after ballad, song after song. He goes on and on and on. I don't know how he remembers the lyrics of so many songs, but it's the third time in recent times I've been at a function where Andy Cruikshank has performed, and believe you me, that young man is going places. If you've never heard him, he sings, and when he sings the songs, you could almost identify the voice of the original artist or the artist who would have made that song popular. So congratulations to all concerned. And let me not forget Blazer Williams, who rendered one of his inimitable poems. All right, that's it for preliminaries. I would cut the preliminary short and go straight into the topic of lawyer letters. Now, a lawyer letter is a letter written by a lawyer on the instructions of a client to someone or to a firm or to the government or to an institution conveying information. It is normally delivered by hand because we have found over the years that delivery by post is uncertain, and even when the letter is local and registered, there are problems with delivery. So for the most part, when a lawyer writes a letter on behalf of a client, if he doesn't have it delivered personally by one of his clerks, he would enlist the services of a bailiff privately to deliver the letter for him or her. Now, when persons go to a lawyer to request the lawyer to write a letter or to seek advice about a problem, the lawyer may well advise, okay, you want to take this person to court, but before launching legal proceedings, let us give the person opportunity to say or why he or she has been doing what you allege the person has done to you and so on, or to make amends. In fact, in some proceedings, you are practically required before you launch legal proceedings to send a lawyer letter. For example, in defamation proceedings, in proceedings involving complaints of personal injury and so on, it is advisable to send the letter first to the would-be defendant, indicating your client's complaint and inviting the person to settle the matter out of court. And if the person doesn't respond or responds negatively or unsatisfactorily, then the matter proceeds to the filing of a claim. But when you go to a lawyer intentionally wanting to advise him to send a letter to someone, the lawyer is totally dependent on the information you provide. The lawyer may not have heard the name of the person you want to send this letter to at all. You would know nothing about the situation. So the lawyer goes by what you say to the lawyer in his or her office. If you tell the lawyer a pack of lies, that is what the lawyer will write, not because he is a liar or he wants to encourage you to tell lies, but because he is duty-bound to follow your instructions and to convey the information you provide. So that you make yourself responsible for the information contained in a letter which you pay a lawyer to write on your behalf. Now, you do have cases where two people have a quarrel or an altercation between them. In some cases, the party who is wrong, that is the one who instigated the problem in the first place, who has been the aggressor, finds himself or herself to a lawyer's office before the party who has been wronged. In other words, the guilty party, the one guilty of stirring up the problem, goes to a lawyer to write a letter to the innocent party. Because, you know, there are some people who like to be wrong and strong. They provoke a situation. They create a problem. And then they find themselves in a lawyer's office asking the lawyer to write a letter to the person against whom they have created the problem. Because they feel, okay, let them get out in front and complain against the other person. I'm sure you have known cases like that, because all of us are not made with the same temperament. And some people are cantankerous by nature. That is how they are built. That is how they stop. Just very troublesome, very cantankerous, very provoking, very malicious. Some people are like that. Of course, even the most malicious person would have their nice moments when they are gentle and kind, but for the most part, some people are just built with an aggressive, obnoxious nature. Persons like that would usually provoke situations. Sometimes they cause ordinary, peaceful people to lose their temper and to react in ways that they would not ordinarily react in. So, a cantankerous person who has provoked a situation gets into a lawyer's office and tells the lawyer a lot of things which are not true, and asks the lawyer to write a letter to the person. The lawyer doesn't know what has gone on. He simply has to take the word from the person who has come to him or her. So the lawyer asks questions, he gets clarification. He may inquire of the person, well, were there people who witnessed the situation you described? And having taken all the information, the lawyer would then explain the fee, and then put pen to paper, and subsequently a letter is sent to the person. If the person is in the wrong, then when they receive the letter, they would fully well know, well, look, you did something wrong and the person has sent you a lawyer letter, so you better do something about it. But if the person is innocent, do you know how hurtful it is to get a lawyer letter from somebody complaining about things you are alleged to have done, if you are the innocent party and the person was the one who started the thing and who provoked the situation in the first place? You feel a sense of outrage. And you get mad, not just with the person who went to the lawyer to send you the lawyer letter, you get mad with the lawyer. Because you feel, why did the lawyer write you this rough letter saying that you did all sorts of things which you didn't do? So next thing you know, you meet the lawyer walking in the street and you push up your mouth and you give the lawyer bad eyes, or you make some bad comment to the lawyer. The lawyer doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know you are the person to whom he sent the letter. But he would just see somebody pass him and mutter something unpleasant. Or if he is somebody you have known and he passes and says hello, you would not answer, and the lawyer would say, oh, how come that person is reacting in such a way? The lawyer doesn't know that he has been made to send a letter to an innocent person, complaining about things which didn't happen or things which were exaggerated, based on the information given by some cantankerous or malicious person. That is part of life. Now, when you receive a lawyer letter complaining about something which has happened, it could be a complaint about a boundary dispute you have with your neighbor. It may be a complaint about words you are alleged to have said, which the person to whom they were said or about whom they were said has found defamatory or slanderous. It may be a letter demanding the repayment of a debt you owe, or you are alleged to have owed. It could be about anything at all. You first have to consider, well, how am I going to respond to this? In most cases, it may be wise of you, particularly if the letter you receive has threatened legal proceedings, it may be wise of you to go to another lawyer and give that lawyer your side of the story so that your lawyer could reply to the letter on your behalf. It is seldom wise to go to the same lawyer from whom you got the letter to complain that this person said things in the letter or made you say things in the letter which were not true, and you've come to offer an explanation. Some lawyer letters may invite you to come to the chambers of the lawyer who has written the letter to make amends, particularly if it is a letter in which it is alleged that you have slandered somebody or you owe somebody money. The letter may invite you to come in to see the lawyer to settle up the matter or to make amends or to offer an explanation. Well, it is up to you whether you would do that, but in many cases it is not wise because a lawyer can only represent one person in a dispute. So the person who has caused him or her, the lawyer, to write the letter is that lawyer's client. If you go and see that lawyer and you give that lawyer your side of the story, it doesn't mean the matter may not still end up in court. But if it does, you would have given information which you really should only give to your own lawyer. So in most cases, when you receive a lawyer letter about some controversial matter containing allegations against you, it is usually wise to go and see another lawyer other than the one who has written the letter to you. And you go and you give your own lawyer an explanation. Your lawyer will ask you many questions about the incident which is alleged or the situation described in the letter. And in due course, that lawyer would answer the letter for you. He would send the letter to the lawyer from whom you received the letter, and he would say, I represent so-and-so, and I am responding to a letter you wrote to so-and-so on behalf of this other person containing allegations of this and that nature. And that lawyer will put your side of the story for you. The matter may end there. The lawyer who wrote the letter, when he or she gets an answer from another lawyer, may then arrange for you to come in, and he will show you the lawyer's letter from his colleague. He would say, this is the reply I have received in response to the letter I wrote on your behalf. Here is a copy of it, or this is what it says. And he would proceed to give you a copy or read it to you. You may then decide, look, those responses are not true at all. So depending on the nature of the response, you may wish to send another letter in reply to the one your lawyer had received from the other person's lawyer. But you don't keep sending letters back and forth for any length of time. The situation may require legal action, or it may require just leaving it as it is, or the lawyer may recommend that you adopt some other course of action, that you enlist the services of family members or some other person in the community to settle the dispute, because the lawyer may well recognize that there is really bad blood between his client and the other person's client, the other lawyer's client. And the lawyer may feel this is not something which ought to go to court. This is something which two people ought to settle apart from going to court, because going to court is expensive, even if it is in the magistrate's court. If it is in the magistrate's court, it costs you a lot of time. because you seldom have matters heard the first time in a magistrate's court. There are adjournments. It is time consuming. And you can't expect a lawyer to keep going back to court for adjournment after adjournment for the same fee he would have charged you initially. He might have told you, well, look, this matter is going to be X $100 to go to court, expecting that the matter would be short and it would be heard in 1 or 2 sittings. The matter may drag on beyond the control of your lawyer, and the lawyer cannot leave his or her office and keep going to court with the same case that is being adjourned without asking you for more fees. So unless you are prepared to pay additional fees, consider carefully whether you really want to go to court with a matter. Of course, if it is a high court matter, the fees are not quoted in hundreds, they would be quoted in thousands, depending on the nature of the subject matter. And therefore, you must think long and hard before you decide to resort to litigation when you have a problem which started with a lawyer letter. Now, some persons, when approached by a bailiff who intends to deliver a letter to them, refuse to accept the letter. The bailiff would ask, are you so and so? Yes, well, I have a letter here for you. Me no take none. Who letter? The bailiff may say, well, this letter is sent by such and such a lawyer. Me no the lawyer. Where you send me letter for? And some people do have that sort of response. Well, if you refuse to accept the letter, the bailiff might resort to serving it on you in some other appropriate means, but ultimately, if you insist you're not taking it, he could then return it to the lawyer. Of course, he still has to be paid for attempting to deliver the letter, because he cannot leave Kingstown and go to Georgetown or Chateaubriand to serve a letter and somebody refused to accept it, and when he comes back, the lawyer says, well, look, the letter was not delivered, so I'm not paying it. The bailiff has to be paid. So the lawyer would say, okay, the person didn't receive the letter, and then if it's a matter requiring litigation, you would just be sued. And the next thing you get from the bailiff would not be a lawyer letter which you can accept or not accept. It may be a court document which you have to accept, because when the bailiff comes with a court document, he doesn't come on behalf of a lawyer, he's coming on behalf of the court. So that when a bailiff serves a court document on you which initiates legal proceedings, you better had accepted from the bailiff. And let me say in the same breath, if you are served with court documents by a bailiff, take it to a lawyer immediately. If you have a lawyer, take it to the lawyer the next day. Or if the next day is a weekend or a holiday, take it to the lawyer the first working day. Don't have it hanging about and say, well, when you get time. Because court documents tend to have a timetable. There are things which have to be done within a certain time frame. Usually 2 weeks, sometimes less than that. So if you wait until 1 week passes before you take it to the lawyer, you give the lawyer very little time to prepare your response on your behalf. So as soon as you get letters or documents from the court, find a lawyer or find your lawyer. If the lawyer is not present in office, you leave it with the staff and explain to them that you got this and tell them the time you got it, because the date and, well, not so much the time, but the date on which you receive a document is normally very important, because the clock starts running after that date. But if it's a lawyer letter, you accept it. You read it. If you cannot read, you ask somebody to read it for you, and you get a lawyer to respond for you, unless you feel safe and satisfied in going to the same lawyer who wrote it and giving an explanation. Now, lawyer letters are part and parcel of the functioning of the justice system. Now, it isn't necessary for the lawyer to write a letter in the terms in which you state a matter. So that even if you go to a lawyer in the hottest anger and you say the most outlandish things about the person to whom you intend to have the letter sent, the lawyer hasn't got to respond in that fashion and would seldom do so. The lawyer is a trained professional. He or she would express your sentiments in civilized language. So don't tell the lawyer, well, this letter you write is too soft and so on. The lawyer isn't there to be your bad dog, so that when you feel like jumping and biting at somebody, the lawyer must jump and bite as well. No, no, no. The lawyer is a part and parcel of an honorable and civilized profession. So he may state the substance of your complaint in measured language. He hasn't got to be as rough in the letter as you have been in your description of what took place. But he will convey the essential elements of your complaint to the other side, to the party to whom you are sending the letter, and write it in a civilized tone. Okay? A lawyer isn't there to be anybody's bad boy. So please don't figure, well, because a lawyer isn't writing in the same rough language that you use. And finally, when you pay for a lawyer letter to be written, you're not just paying for the lawyer's time to put pen to paper in. There are several considerations. The person who receives the letter would get angry with the lawyer in most cases, so the lawyer would then lose a potential client. That person would not go to the same lawyer for any further legal work. He'll get vexed with the lawyer. Then the lawyer has to deal with a response from another lawyer to whom you have taken the one he sent to you. All of that you have to take into consideration. So it's not just the time spent in writing the letter, it's also the aftermath. And when you go and see a lawyer to write a letter on your behalf, for heaven's sake, speak the truth. Be fair. If there are documents involved, you take the documents with you. Don't leave them home, and then when the lawyer says, well, where are the papers? Oh, I left my deed home, I left my plan home. Take all the documents you think the lawyer might ask for when you go. Okay? Well, that is all from this edition of The Law and You, program number 658. I look forward to being of further service to you next week, Monday, DV, for another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. Do have a very pleasant week, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, and may the good Lord continue to bless us all.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer P.R Campbell QC, and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.